the word God triggered me. You know, people saying God or praying to God and all that, it triggered me. And it only triggered me because it stemmed from a hurt place. You know, of me losing my daughter, basically. Lost my daughter, and I was very angry at God, very angry at that term, very angry at the belief behind it, because you know, acceptance is everything. And if you believe in God, then you have to believe that that God let your child die. And you know what I mean? It's that connotation, right? That's something that me and Oracle kind of share in our lives. We kind of share this trauma of that. And so in this path, I've had to work through not being judgmental towards someone else because their faith isn't tainted. You know what I mean? Like their perception of what God is isn't tainted, even though mine is in this moment in my hurt, that I have to stand and say, okay, it's still your reality, right? No matter, despite how I feel, can't project that on someone else. So when you have triggers like that, when you know that someone is saying something and you get triggered, what do you do? Right? When do you kind of step back and be like, shit, am I kind of going too far in this moment? Am I overly mad in this moment from a
Mhm.
simple word, you know? Or if someone says, God bless you, like even that extent used to like hurt me. You know what I mean? Like, and then you know how you would come across people who would be, you know, giving you pamphlets and shit, and I would just be like so angry.
Right.
But it had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with the term God, because there's no difference between us saying God or creator or source or the divine. Like, what the fuck is the difference? There really is no difference. You're just using another term because, again, you have a problem with the word. And I think a lot of people have to take a step back and really figure out what their problem is. And this spiritual community, there's a lot of people who are spiritually and still say God, that still believe in God. And I think sometimes it pushes you to really look at that, to really like sit back and say, okay, wait a minute. Um, what do I really have a problem with in this moment? Right? Like, what do I really have an issue with? It's not that God, and I don't think the word God should just be connected to religion. Just like, you know, I
Mhm.
learned in this path that angels aren't just connected to religion. And that's something I thought. I thought you had to be religious to be to call on an angel. And I was just like, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not religious. So how could I call Archangel?
Mhm.
Everyone's like Archangel Michael this. And I'm like, well, how could I call on Archangel Michael when I don't even believe, you know, in religion like that? So how can I do that? But these beautiful angels showed me that you don't have to be in religion to believe in them, to call on them, for them to assist you and protect you. You don't have to be in a religion. You don't got to go to church for that. And it was amazing to have that experience and that awareness like, oh shit, that was a game changer for me in 2020. In early 2020, that was a game changer. It was a profound game changer to understand it. My perception of what God and religion, angels was so wrong. It was so wrong. And I was so judgmental and afraid to call on these energies just because of based on what I thought I knew. You know what I mean?
I think sometimes people come to spirituality because they're angry at God, because they're angry at religion. um, and so they come to spirituality without consciously knowing that they're searching for another source. They're
Right.
searching for another answer, not
Right.
realizing that you can be. And that's where I think people get angry when they see people who are religious, who are spiritual.
Right.
Because it's like, no, you're spiritual, you can't be religious.
Right. Right.
Because when you're spiritual, you have no judgment, and your God has judgment, or your religion has this, that, or the other. But that's not the case for some people. Some people are able to read a Bible and still believe in magic. Some people are able to read a Bible and still make their own opinions. Some people are
Right.
able to read a Bible and still believe in karma. Some people are
Mhm.
able to read a Bible and believe in not believe in heaven or hell, and just believe in afterlives and things. But I think a lot of times people come to the spirituality because something happened to them where they get angry at religion or they get angry at God. when all in all, spirituality isn't another religion per se. Depends on where you go with it, I guess.
Right,
But
right,
it's because I feel like sometimes spirituality is more open to create your own comfort zone. So you can believe this, that, or the other because spirituality doesn't come with a Bible. It doesn't come with this is how it goes, this is who is actually there. You're open to pick whoever you want and make your own story in spirituality. And people are more comfortable with that than the religion of some things. But then we start to down other people
right,
for being able to be religious. Like, how can you read a Bible and still be here? How can you believe in
right,
that? How can you believe in this judgmental God and still be here? But it's not really for us to say. If that
right,
person finds comfort in their religion, so be it.
right,
Who are we to be like, no, you're wrong? But I think a lot of times people get mad at God for whatever reason, or mad at
right.
religion for whatever reason, and then they turn spiritual. And then they
Hmm.
become, I'm spiritual, not religious, which I am. So don't be like, no, I am spiritual and not religious. I am. I don't have a Bible or whatnot. But I think when they do that, I do think for me personally, it was out of that pain and that anger. So I had to search for my spirituality somewhere else because I was so angry at what other people had, at this God that was supposed to be there, if that makes
Right,
sense. And so then I had to search for another higher power, but I couldn't give that person the name God because
right,
that was just too much for me to do.
right, right, right. I think unfortunately with spirituality is people do convert. It's a conversion for a lot of people. And I think that's where mainstream is taking it to where because people will argue, well, spirituality is a religion. It is a belief system. And in so many ways it is. You
Mm-hmm.
just replacing one belief system with another. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing for me, the reason why I like and tailor to spirituality is because it is open. It is supposed to be, but we know the judgment in spiritual communities are real. The judgment is real, right? And you don't get to practice freely without someone looking at you a certain way. You do get a sense of judgment when you say certain things. So just like if I say spirit gave me this message, right? And now,
Mm-hmm.
if I start saying God gave me this message, I'm hearing God right now. Do you know the kind of shit that would come from that? Just saying God is giving, but who's to say I'm not speaking to God? Who's to say I'm not connected to God?
Mm-hmm.
But someone will look at you like you're crazy. Oh, you're talking to God? Who are you to talk to God? We talk to God, creator, source, whoever it is that you believe in every day. Now, if you could sit here and say that you always have a connection with God, then why wouldn't you hear the message from him as well, or her, however you want to look at it? Me personally, I don't put a him or her on the context. That's why I say creator in the divine energy, because I don't believe it's a him or a her, because I believe we're all that, like it's everything.
Mm-hmm.
That energy is everything. It's masculine and feminine. So I don't believe it's a him or a her. I just believe it's that energy, that all knowing, that higher intelligence. That's why I kind of see it differently, and I don't use the term God because most people use the term God in a different form. So if I sit here and yeah, so I have to say spirit. I'm getting a message from spirit because if I sit here and say I'm getting a message from God, oh, I'm crazy as shit.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people think, like, coming into it, at least, I think they think spiritual isn't as judgmental and that it's more open and free, and it should be. But good Lord, it's becoming so judgmental even over here. I think you give it a few more 10 years and they'll have their own freaking Bible on this side too. But
Right,
I just think, like sometimes when it comes to that God or it comes to that religion, people are so pushed away from religion. And that's fine because I am too. I don't believe in a man made religion, a
right,
man
right,
written Bible, whatever you want to call it. But for somebody else to believe in that and find comfort in that, I don't, it hurts to see people so triggered by somebody
right,
else's comfort. Um,
right,
because like we were talking and I said, my friend has always told me I would rather take my chance at believing and getting there and not believing and kind of being screwed for not believing something, like, so I get that, and that too, like you always talk about how you make your own reality. Well, what happens if you kind of don't believe in anything and then you get there and you're kind of stuck in this nothing because you haven't created a reality for yourself on that other
Right.
side, like,
Right.
so I mean, it doesn't, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody and as long as nobody's over here trying to push something upon you, I don't, I think we need to start letting go of our making our hurts and our anger somebody else's story. I think we're always so busy trying to push, well, if God was real, why would this? If God was real, why would that? And maybe to them, God has been nothing but good. Maybe they
Right.
have a different way of looking at things, and maybe to them, God has been nothing but good. Maybe they have good memories of church and Sunday school and you
Right.
know what I mean? Like, so when you hear it and people are getting so triggered, if you're getting triggered like that, I think it's something in you that you have to look at. Why does
Right.
this piss you off so much? And like I
Right.
said, I think it's traumatic experiences that we've had or lifestyles that we've chosen that have gotten us judgment. And so we veer off from that. And that's where that spirituality comes in because this is a big thing where you can make your own. You
Right.
can believe in an afterlife. You don't have to believe in an afterlife. You can believe in the angels. You don't have to believe in the angels. You can believe in goddesses. You don't have, you can have 1,000 gods if you want to. Um,
Right.
and so it's just kind of easier to conform your own little world in spirituality than it is with religion.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. And even in myself, when I talk about my past of how I got mad and shift the blame on God, like it's God's fault. Like how could you
Mhm.
let, suffering of children and this, that, especially with children, that was been my big pet peeve in my life of how could so many children suffer in this life. And you guys, and I would say you guys, you guys in religion, you guys are preaching this God that's all loving and stuff. Well, how? Because it just would eat me up. It would eat me up of this of what children have to go through. And I would see it, even being a children
Mhm.
child myself of shit. So that would eat me up. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that I've been taught is that not everything is this God is punishing you. Not everything is that. I do believe in karma, but I believe karma works in a different way. Not like that God is just sitting up there, oh, you've been a piece of shit. Here you go. I'm getting you back, and now your wishes aren't granted. I feel like the energy is so intelligent. We will never fucking understand how that energy of the creation, creator, universe, source, however you want to look at it, works. I don't think we'll ever be able to wrap our mind around it because we're not up there. We don't have that experience. Maybe when we die and we go back and we remember shit, maybe we're more intelligent when we're in spirit. I don't know. But I don't think that will ever have those answers that we think we know. And I think we always have to blame somebody. That's why either people are
Yeah.
like, oh, the devil did it, or it's God's fault. But sometimes, most of the time, no, it's our choices that fucking land us in certain spots. It's our choices, as traumatic as they are, the outcomes, as fucked up as it is sometimes our that one choice that we made leads up to all of this other shit and brings us to a point of our life, but we get so bent out of shape to blame somebody, right? It's easier to blame someone than to sit in your own energy and take it, face it, and accept it. That
Hmm.
maybe, just maybe, I made a wrong move here. Maybe, just maybe this isn't the right thing for me. Even talking about like, oh, my life's not going well. All of a sudden,